The motel clerk refused to give me room 214. The problem was, I had already been sleeping in it for 3 nights. I was driving across the country for work and staying in a small roadside motel. Nothing special about it. Cheap room, old furniture, flickering sign outside. On the 3rd morning, I stopped by the office to extend my stay. The clerk looked at my room key and went pale. "Where did you get this?" he asked. I told him I'd checked in 3 days earlier. He shook his head. "Sir, nobody has stayed in room 214 for 20 years. I laughed, thinking it was some weird joke. Then he pulled out the motel registry. Room 214 wasn't listed. It skipped from 213 to 215. I walked outside and looked up at the 2nd floor. My stomach dropped. There was no room 214. The numbers on the doors went 210, 211, 212, 213, then 215. No 214. I ran upstairs anyway. And there it was, my room. Same door, same key, same luggage inside. But something was different. The room felt colder. The wallpaper looked older. The television wasn't mine. Then I noticed a newspaper lying on the bed. The date was 20 years old. The headline read, "Motel Fire Claims 7 Lives." Beneath it was a photograph of the burned building. I recognized it immediately. It was this motel. Then I noticed something else. Standing in one of the 2nd floor windows was a man staring at the camera, wearing my clothes, holding my room key. I looked up from the newspaper and slowly turned toward the motel window. My reflection was staring back at me from the glass, not from inside the room, from outside, trapped in the burned building from 20 years ago. Then I noticed movement behind the glass. People, dozens of them, standing inside the burned motel, their skin blackened, their clothes scorched, all staring out the windows. Then I realized something. Every room had someone standing inside it. Every room except mine. Room 214 was empty. The reflection wearing my clothes slowly smiled. Then it stepped away from the window. The newspaper slipped from my hands because I finally understood what room 214 was. It wasn't a room. It was a vacancy, a place waiting for its next occupant. I looked back toward the window one last time. The room wasn't empty anymore. Someone was standing inside, watching me, wearing my face, and holding my room key.